The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
Welcome back to the David Pakman Show. I'm David Pakman. Lewis still in Turkey for a few more days. Have not heard from him even a single time since he got there. Who knows what's going on? Who knows what his internet access situation is? Any curiosity about visiting Istanbul, Darryl?
No.
None at all?
None. Zero.
Really?
Maybe more than I do Kabul, but not, or Kabul, but no, not there.
Right.
I don't really want to go to that region.
You're not even remotely interested?
No.
But yet, at the same time, you seem to have some kind of thing about travel, right? I mean, because I've presented invitations to a number of different conferences and such, and I feel like maybe there's some kind of airplane thing going on with you.
No, actually, I love airplanes. I'm a single father of a teenage girl. Leaving her alone or without direct supervision frightens the hell out of me.
What about the possibility of taking her with you, though?
That actually, now, if I could muster that up and it's around the same time when she's not in school, I'd be much more for that. I love traveling.
We'll keep exploring that. We'll make the right phone calls. We'll see what authorities would need to be involved in, if any, in that type of trip.
Right.
And speaking, by the way, of authorities and that region, which is a region that, by the way, is very confusing to Michelle Bachmann. Michelle Bachmann not totally clear whether Libya is in Africa or not. We learned today that Muammar Gaddafi had been killed. The initial reports were that he had been captured. Then it was that he had been killed with quotes around the word killed. Eventually, just that he had been killed. And the real questions I have, and we're not here to do the micro-analysis of exactly how it happened, even though we are getting more and more information. We have seen pictures, which I think we actually have the death picture, which we can put up, Natan. I think I put it in our folder so people can get a sense of what that is. Initially, we heard the same questions we heard with bin Laden. We heard, well, do we really know that it's Gaddafi? But this is different than bin Laden because we know Gaddafi has so many body doubles. Right. What do you think of the skepticism amongst Americans, amongst people of the world, actually? I actually heard this with bin Laden. I heard it more from people in other countries of whether we've actually killed the real person.
In the case of bin Laden or Gaddafi?
In general, the fact that that's one of the first things we hear.
Because I think that we have a general distrust of government. We have a general distrust of our elected officials. And we know that they know things that we don't know. And we know they can do things that we don't necessarily know or have a way to find out about it. I think that in general, we just don't trust our leaders.
Don't you think, though, that there would be some, in other words, given that the government doesn't always tell us the truth as we know, do you really think that they would take the chance by putting up pictures of someone who really isn't the person we killed? Aren't there much safer ways to mislead the American public?
Yeah, and people would say, like, saying that you dumped their body in the ocean and never showing proof of it. That's one of the things that people would actually say. Yeah, when they start showing pictures of the dead body, I don't know about you, but I've got no doubt that that was Gaddafi.
That's the thing. I don't know, because it's not like I've ever been in a room with the guy. A lot of times when I see somebody on TV a bunch of times and then meet them, I say, oh, you know what? There's actually some differences that you don't notice on TV as in person. And it really could just be someone that looks like them. With someone like Muammar Gaddafi, who we know had body doubles, I don't think it's an outrageous question to ask. I just wonder why we would think the government would choose that when there are so many other ways to deceive people for positive PR than saying this is a picture of a guy, of a bad guy, and it's not really him. I don't know. What do you think, Natan? I mean, you always hesitate to buy into any kind of conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I mean, in the U.S., like Darryl was saying, people are pretty skeptical of what the government says. But in the Middle East, it's even worse. I mean, with bin Laden, there were entire countries where they didn't believe that it had happened for a while.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I think that it's pretty risky for the American government to lie about something like this, because if it gets out that it was a lie, then it's going to be a huge problem for them. However, since the quotes did disappear from the report of Gaddafi's death, according to BBC and New York Times, I think there's a good chance he actually died.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do think Muammar Gaddafi was killed.